The title of this course is RRI as a driver of research and innovation today. So, sorry. So the first thing we'll do is like, why is RRI the driver of success driver of research and innovation today? What is different today from, we heard that we're a very modern university, so let's be modern and understand what kind of modernity we are in now, so that we need to adapt from research and innovation to responsible research and innovation, to understand the context, to also understand the responsible needs. And oh, there we go. And I think you all know that today there's something up in the context. We're talking about sustainable development. I mean, the concept of development has always been like, yes, of course, we're developing. We are the more developed nations. And all of a sudden, we're talking about sustainable development because we have understood that our concept of development that we have used for so many centuries, we cannot sustain it. It's not really leading to a future for the younger generation. So let's change the concept of development. But how do you do that? Where do you build upon? How can you educate people if education has always been the reproduction of society? Whereas now we maybe have to reinvent society. So that is probably, you may have wondered, why are we not in, classical chairs and tables with the expert in front? Because there is no expert. We're going to co-create the future. So I want you to experience that also during this workshop. And so the first thing I would, we come from a period of stability, where the climate was stable and we had oceans and we had soils and we could do agriculture and we could do more and more and more of the same. But now we have entered a new era where all this stability is gone. The climate is changing, biodiversity is getting lost. So we are entering in a new time period which will require us to reinvent education, to reinvent research. And now we're going to do that in 2 hours time. Of course you're not going to get everything, but I hope to plant a little seed of insight in your brain that you can hold on to later and nourish later. And so the first thing I would like to do is for you, we didn't mix the tables, but that's okay.
We will do it right now, yeah. Can you tell us?
Oh, okay, I forgot about that. Because we're going to work together in small groups around the complexity of the problems, it's very important for the groups to be diverse. If you have a table of all Romanian philosophers around the table, you're not going to learn much because you all speak the same language. So that's why we need to take like 5 minutes to sort of like make sure I'm sorry about that, I wanted to do it beforehand, but it wasn't possible, to make sure that we have mixed groups in terms of nationality, in terms of gender. There's not any men in the room, but okay, let's have it spread out. In terms of age, in terms of discipline that you come from. But I don't know, if you can help me with that?
Of course, we just can ask people to move around and to see.
Make sure that you still know, yes.
And I know your people. You know Clara, so maybe you need to move.
Where are the Bulgarian people in the room? Make sure that we have there's 10 Bulgarian people, maximum 2 per table or something like that.
Yes, and the Italians. So you have to move 1 to each different table.
Just please move around.
Yes. And Spanish representation, we are very few from Spain.
Just 1, 2.
Yeah, you have to split in 2 groups. You have
Lisa, is it okay?
¿Qué tal?
Yes, yes,
That's fine too.
we have an Italian, do we have an Italian in all the groups?
Yes,
Two Italians, okay. We have Bulgarians in all the groups.
Yeah.
We have Spaniards in two groups. Do we have two philosophers in one table? No, okay, that's great. We should not have. So that's good. We don't want too many philosophers in the same table.
It's okay. It's okay. I just see one person sitting alone. That is good. Are you not joining the exercise? You want to join the
And then we have so little men, so we need someone to join. Join one of the groups with the ladies.
Okay, so we're all here now because we think responsible research and innovation is important. And I would like you to just think 1 minute for yourself and think it could be as a philosopher, as a Bulgarian, as a woman, as a mother, as a citizen, as whatever, the role that you feel is important to you, I care about or I worry about, and I hope, and that is why I'm here. I am here because as a I care about and I hope to get out of this course, or this is what I'm here for. This is what okay? Just take 1 minute to think about it. You can write down if you want to. Just 1 minute, quickly, and then we're going to just share it so that we know what the hopes of this group are. Okay? Can we do it in silence, please, so everybody can think for themselves? Connect with yourself.
Hacemos que muevan un poco. Bueno, probamos.
Okay, no need to write an essay, just connect with your colleagues, okay? So, you all got it? You don't have to write it out. I mean, just make sure you have it in front of you. Let's start with that table. You just stand up one by one and you read your sentence, or you tell your sentence. Okay, you go ahead. Yes? Speak, stand up and speak out loud and say, this is what I hope. As a...
What I hope to learn from this course.
Yeah, say also in what capacity do you speak? As a student, as a philosopher, as a man, as a
Okay,
Bulgarian?
then I hope to become more tolerant.
More tolerant? And you care about a more tolerant world?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Please?
As a designer, I care about accessibility in terms of digital design. I want to learn how to teach everyday people about the importance of this in the businesses and also how to refer this to more.
It's difficult to understand with your mouth.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was saying that I'm a designer and I want to learn how to teach businesses and everyday people about the importance of creating and designing for everyone.
Okay.
And inclusion.
Including everyday people. Okay, good.
As a multidisciplinary designer, I care about inclusive tools for the design research and method, and I hope to collect more data and information to make them even more inclusive.
And that is why you think RRI is really important, because we need design to become more inclusive.
We need more design tools to make all the solutions more inclusive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please?
Hi, my name is Liwa. As a woman, I care about women's health. And I hope that women will become aware about menstrual
menstruation, hormonal balance, and body awareness.
Very good, thank you very much. Okay, next, please, you? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Elena.
Can you speak to the group, okay?
Yeah. I'm Elena, and as a human, I worry about the number of people who are immune to other people's suffering. And I hope the world finds a way to emotionalize all the social media empathy that takes only there promoted in the back.
That is nice, thank you. Please?
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Silvana Kagancheva, so I will correct the first sentence. I am a woman, I am PhD student, I am a researcher, I am what else? Work. So these are different social roles for me, and I care. I worry about the future of our world, of our society. I'm involved, just like you, in all of the problems of the community. So I hope that here among you is the place where we are going to get knowledge, and after the course we are going to be more clever and more maybe
It's okay, it's okay. Just keep it one sentence. Okay, thank you very much.
I'm aware.
Hi everyone, my name is Clara and I'm an early stage researcher, and I care about the new social media platforms are developing and how people communicate, and I hope that throughout this communication on the internet we can explore new realities and diversity. My research and the future research.
Thank you. Thank you. Please?
Hi all, I'm Alessandro, and as an uncle, I'm worried about the future for my nephew, and I really hope we will find a way to change our way of life.
That is powerful, thank you.
Okay, my turn. Hi everybody, I'm Luca. Well, in almost all the capacities I have, I worry about the future as you all do, and I think that as social scientists or whatever scientists we are, we need to step up and to take our responsibility to make responsible research. So that's why I'm here to learn how to be more responsible as scientists.
Okay, thank you. And you?
Yes. Hi everyone. My name is Radica. And as a person working with data and data science, I'm constantly worrying about people misinterpreting the scientific truth, and that they're using them for like a negative impact on society. So I hope to be able to somehow get the tools to combat that, in my opinion.
Okay. Very important one, scientific truth and how people understand that. Thank you. Can I move to the lady with the yellow dress? Yeah, thank you. You can speak to
and quality, but just as a human and a woman, and I improvised now because I didn't know if it would be like called to express our first connection with this course, but let's say that I'm worried nowadays why women are all the time striving to take on more and more responsibilities as well as personal and professional, but they still do not achieve and obtain the same recognition as in different aspects of our life, not generally of course, but we can see these differences still in modern era.
Well, I'm Marina. I see that everyone has different understanding of task. So for example, they are closely. Then I hope and I'm worried about peace in society. So here, I hope to learn how to sensitivity others.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Daniela. As a person and a designer, sorry. As a person, as a designer, I care and I'm worried about the inclusion of the minority. And I hope to do something about it with my field, maybe with other like they're intersectional in the table as we are doing today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Richard, and as a designer, I worry about inclusion of people with every kind of disability, and I hope in the future I will have to improve and develop the world of empathic design.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Setska from Bulgaria. As a Bulgarian sociologist, I care about the diversity of our society. So I hope we can understand more about each other here. So that's all.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Valeria, and as a human and a designer, I care and worry about responsible design, and in particular about a more inclusive, ethical, and feminist design pedagogy. And here I hope to learn pedagogical methodologies or to get some suggestions and data to improve my research and
Very good. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Christina, and just as a human being and someone who works with the social inclusion of ethnic minorities, I'm very much worried about systematic discrimination, and I feel confident here I will gain more tools and methodologies and ways to become better in my work and become a better ally.
Systematic exclusion, that is a very important word here.
Hi, my name is Maria. I guess I'm the only psychologist in the group. So as a psychologist, I care about people. I care about you as well, because we're all people. And I really hope that we can become more united and stop thinking so prejudiced the way we think, unfortunately, now.
Thank you. That's nice.
Okay, I'm Vicky. As a researcher, I worry about people's value, and I hope in the time they will manage to build better.
Okay, thank you. Maybe just
Hello everyone, my name is Sana, and as a human, PhD student and designer, I care and worry about gender stereotypes in the design field, and I hope I'll be able to improve inclusiveness by focusing on ethical design and bringing more consciousness production.
Thank you. Can I ask you also to share your hopes?
My hopes?
Yeah, your concern and your hope as a
Okay.
ambassador, woman, Bulgarian, European.
As I told you, I've been working for 5 years in Geneva, United Nations, in the Council of Human Rights. And there we shared our concerns of Bulgaria, which were related to the rights of the child, the women's rights, rights of people with disabilities, also the rights of the migrants. So those are topics related to our policy, and as I see part of the colleagues here, they're sharing.
Yeah, I hope that it gives you hope to hear all the hopes.
It's really very nice to
Thank
to
you.
be here. Thank you.
Can I ask you, please? Thank you.
I am Patricia Nunez, as a head of Department of Applied Communication Science in Complutense University. I am worried and I care about new generation, about young people, my students, and all new generation in the world. Also early researchers, and also worry about the social goal of the university, public university. So I hope we can create network and hope for young people and helping all with them.
Good one.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. First.
Who wanted to?
You're the guest.
Hi everyone, it's a good chance to say hi to everyone. I was in charge of organizing the Bulgarian participants, so we still don't know each other. I don't know most of you. So welcome finally in Madrid and Escorial. Coming to the agenda, as a researcher, I care about why do I feel whatever I will say will be very, not like, anyway.
But you say it, please.
I care about inequalities, and I hope we will get the best of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Olga Kurutushkina. I'm lecturer and researcher from the Complutense University of Madrid. And as a researcher, I care about the invisibility of people with disability in our society. And that will be the topic of our tomorrow's session. So we are going to talk a lot about that. And I'm also a mother. And as a mother, I care about the planet that we are going to leave our children. So that's my key concerns.
Okay, thank you. Lisa? Last word.
Okay, I am Lisa. I work together with Patricia and Olga at the Faculty of Communication Science, where I actually teach responsible research and innovation. And my mentor is Anne. She has taught me everything I know, so thank you, Anne. And I worry about many things, but above all, I think right at the moment about the refugees. I've been working 4 years in an international refugee project where we have designed addition and inclusion strategies together with refugees, organizations, companies, and different stakeholders. And I worry about the destination and the future of this issue because we have 100 million refugees right at the moment, the highest figure.
And your hope, Lisa?
My hope is that the problems related to forced migration and other vulnerable collectives can be fixed in the origin, and also that the reception systems get improved, that the European mentality gets more open and more receiving. So we're looking, I wish the society would be more open, more welcoming, accepting diversity in all senses. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, a round of applause for everybody. And I hope, while listening to each other, there's different hopes and different worries, but I hope you can see many of them are really interconnected. We have a world that is splitting apart. The other is the people with disability, it's the refugees, but it's also nature, you know. And how can we reconnect that again together? And I hope you understand why the learning has to take place in a place where we reconnect with ourselves, with those hopes, and with each other. So I have to catch up a little bit of time because we started a little bit late, and I hope to stop by 12. So I'm just going to dive right in. I'm going to give you an exercise now that you're going to do around your little table. And we're focusing on science. You know, it's about responsible research and innovation. And you might think, wait a minute, this is not my field of science. You know, the challenge that I'm going to give you. But you can reflect, you know, as a woman, I think this, or as a citizen, I think that, or as a human being, this is what I think about it. So don't worry too much about your scientific knowledge, but think about what you know with your common sense, with your concerns and everything. So the question is this, let me see. I'm sorry, I have to do the timekeeping correctly. We have, oh, sorry. The case that you're going to look at is, you're going to make a system map, trying to understand a problem. One of the big challenges of today, one of the biggest challenges of today is called AMR, antimicrobial resistance, and it is a consequence of the use of antibiotics. Now, if you look at it, here the line is health. We discovered antibiotics in the lab, science and innovation. You know, that was really research and innovation, very successful. Wow. We tested in the lab, and if we see that with 95% certainty, we improve health. So then we apply it in human health and in animal health, and all of a sudden, instead of increasing the health, it has become one of the biggest threats to human health ever. And it's man-made. Okay? So I would like you to reflect around your table. You can move the chairs, sit in a circle, that's easier. What happened? How come a good invention all of a sudden became a disaster for humanity? What elements play the role? And you don't have to have the, the technical details, but I think it has to do with this, or I have read in the newspaper that they have to do with that, and from my common sense, I think this is it, okay? And I will give you a couple of minutes to brainstorm. Don't worry too much, you can use there's some post-its on the table, you have some words, you put them down and just puzzle together what you think. All of a sudden this good invention became a disaster. What went wrong? How come that all of a sudden changed into something dangerous? Okay? Yeah, how do you explain that? How do we understand what happened? How come we did something good, we were thinking we're doing more, and we're doing something. Where's the blind spot? Between this. You put it in, on the table. There is no discussion, it's just like brainstorm. Mutations, it's nature, whatever you think it is. Put it all down. It's not necessary. You don't have to come up with a final answer. All the things that go together to understand. Okay, good. I need to tell you what
But it's very important to understand that there is nothing that can Carol in people. This is university was
You're suffering from the water.
And the answer is not general one.
Just comfort you. We have 2 more minutes. Make sure you've got all your items on the table.
Yeah, that's right. I think especially in
I see photos of bikinis, so let's wrap up. Can I have your attention? If you need to stand up and stretch, please feel free. Stretch, do some yoga. No, okay. Oh, no, you don't? Let's wrap up, please. Can I please have your attention? Okay. If you need to stand up and stretch a bit, please do. I mean, your body may, may want to sort of move a bit. Okay. We will just do a quick harvesting, like what are the things that you came up with? So around your table, 1 person per table, please tell things that you came up with. And we will try to understand together, putting all the pieces of information, like what happened that, a linear process of, we have a good technical solution here, we've proven it in the lab to be a good solution, and the more we apply it, the worse the impact is on society. What have we missed? Okay, let's start over there. What did you come up with?
Do you mind if we speak together, like all of us? Because we
Whatever, I mean, just give us your summary. You don't have to go into the detail of all the arguments.
So basically the strongest point that we have is that antibiotics is something good, but it could be also bad because it's all about how you use it. And we can give an example of a knife. Like you can cut your bread and be happy, or cut your food and that's good with a knife, but you can also cure yourself with a knife. So it's all about how you use it. And we think that the use of antibiotics, the way that they are prescribed and produced, are the core or the origin of the problem.
The prescription behavior and the consumption behavior? Okay.
Because we think that pharmaceuticals, they earn a lot of money. Also, doctors earn a lot of money for a prescription.
Money system?
And sometimes you don't need antibiotics, but the doctor prescribes it because he gets the money from this.
So we have the money system.
Corruption as well.
We have expectations from the patients. Prescription behavior.
We had also lack of diversity in the scientific field because we really think that people are different. It cannot be one standard body. Like some people are much more sensitive to some antibiotics than others. Some are allergic.
Okay, there's a problem in the laboratory already.
Yeah.
You take standard measures for health which are not reflected in reality.
And
or
also,
do not reflect reality.
we have a huge...
Can we please listen to each other? This is really important. We're co-creating this.
We were brainstorming also on the topic of awareness. Awareness about the risks of self-prescription and also awareness about the risks of disposing of all medicines and how you are supposed to do so. Because when they are disposed wrongly and just thrown in the trash, they get absorbed into clothes, thus people do
they get absorbed
resistance in salt or world oceans, you tend to get resistance.
So it's also nature, the groundwater gets infected. Okay. We have money, we have human behavior, we have how it seeps into the oceans and to natural elements. Very good one. Okay? We're just, I'll move on to that table, please.
Oh, my English is not the best. We can talk together.
It's not an English class, don't worry.
we share the same opinion. It's about the behavior from the doctors and the consumers, and of course the lack of time and care from the doctor that is prescribing antibiotics or whatever. And
how do you explain that? Why is that?
because they don't like. In my opinion, I work with natural gynecology. With a woman, I give 1 hour and a half, and a doctor gives 20 minutes.
But why is that?
They don't have time. They have so much charge with patients. Patients, yes. When we go, lack self-care also. So people are not aware. They don't know about the overloaded liver and the lymph system. Also, antibiotics in food, which is like a great amount of antibiotics we
because it is administered in agriculture?
Yes,
so it gets into the
in the
food?
milk and the meat, it gets into the chain. And from a biological point of view, the living organisms adapt to it, to every kind of new pathogens. Another point is that we deny the natural medicine and we only believe in modern medicine, so there is no balance.
Belief. That's
Yes, belief. Yes.
Very important. I mean, there's some physical arguments, but there's also some belief.
Also, there is over-information about, like if you, can you please go ahead?
Because when we talk about the lack of self-care, we were discussing about is it, fault of the people or fault of the doctors, and we're talking about the over-information and the responsibility. So if we, check what we should take, like medicine or anything, we can decide for ourselves sometimes, and maybe it's not like always the best solution. And this is in some countries and culture connected to this idea to take advice from friends, from media, from grandmothers, or from elders, and there's this tradition of taking, always the same thing for the different kind of people, and so it's like always the same solution, and we
habits, habits, expectations, thank you very
And
much.
also suggestions from friends and from media and from society.
Yeah, you think it's normal to take
Yeah, it's normal.
antibiotics, it's like the quick fix.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Last table?
So we're just going to mention the things that the other teams
It's good. Yeah, thank you very much.
One of the problems we see is in health education. And first, we don't have any health education in our schools in Bulgaria. Then it's about communicating scientific truth, and you have to, as a scientist, you have to communicate with people that there may be some secondary effects from a medicine.
But who do you have to communicate that to? Okay, so that the public would not demand antibiotics from the doctors?
No, because the public should know what the effects of using antibiotics are, and they should be able to choose whether to use it or not.
Okay, but it's like the farmers, it's the doctors, I mean, that's not the general public.
Yeah, no, it's the general public. The general public should be aware that any scientific discovery may lead to some negatives and some positives.
Oh my God, that is very important. Okay.
So,
how many scientists are aware of that?
I don't know.
Yeah, very good.
Clear communication about it. Another thing is that we're speaking about doctors who are prescribed medication, but some people don't actually have access to a doctor. So they just go to the pharmacist in their village and they take whatever the pharmacist tells them they should take, like a broad spectrum antibiotic. And those types of antibiotics are usually cheaper than specific types of
money system?
Yeah. So that makes people who live in poverty more inclined to use a broad spectrum antibiotics, and which makes them resistant to things. And the general lack of trust in medical experts. I think. And a very good point that Alessandro made is that we use antibiotics as an emergency response to disease, but we lack prevention.
That's it. We're more treating diseases than maintaining health.
Yes.
Okay.
So we use antibiotics only for conditions that require antibiotics, and also in agriculture.
Yeah, that's what it is. Okay, yeah.
The brainstorming, but we can also express our thoughts. And the first thing that we agreed on was that exactly what has been first by the first group. So it's not the creation and the laboratory product of antibiotics itself, but the use of it. It can be the business, the use of it, the way we use it, and the cases in which we use it, and the knowledge which leads to use it. So it can be due to the lack of information from the side of even from the side of the doctors. I don't believe that they just because they don't have time to prescribe us, but this is a kind of, what to say, they give us the strongest mean to
make sure that
we will, that
okay.
we will get better.
The need for certainty, the need for
I've been
control.
in this kind of situation and I asked many times, do I really need? And they said, this is for the better, so if you want to be sick for 3 weeks, so don't take the antibiotics. And this information and the lack of education and for medication is also very, very important. There's something also, it has been also mentioned, the pure biological, natural, and physical evolution, even of our bodies before we need them, can be very different.
Make sure that everybody can hear you, okay?
Yes, so, sorry. So this is the natural evolution of our organism to adapt to this kind of medicines, and it is also the antibiotics themselves, which are not just designed, created for once or forever. They also are subject to improvement and evolution and scientific research. The problem is not only in the youth.
Okay, very, very good. Well, congratulations. Because what you did now was an excellent example of complex systems thinking. There's so many factors that play together, and together they move. You know, there were the biophysical aspects, you know, it's in the groundwater, our bodies adapt, the microbes adapt, you know, there's biophysical aspects. It's making sense that you don't want to be sick for 3 weeks to do, my God, you know, I want a quick fix, I want the strongest security, I believe in, you know, it's the cultural aspects, and then there's also, you know, the more technological and economic aspects, you know, the farmers can't allow their, pigs to be unproductive, let's give them antibiotics. But then that affects that, and then we get, you know, more, the linear part, the microbes have adapted, so let's make stronger antibiotics. So the microbes adapt again, so let's make stronger antibiotics. And all of a sudden, you know, we have we call it the superbugs, where, you know, they say that there is no way we can even the most simple cold might kill us now, because we have just killed our own physical resistance. And so the non-linear processes is what happens in the real world, but it was not foreseen in the laboratory. In the laboratory, and somebody said it's the scientific model, we take one microbe, we take a patient, we can measure, if I administer the medication, I can then measure, you know, the health of the person. That is the scale that you can control in your laboratory. You can control the parameters, but you do not control the financial system or the oceans. That is not in your laboratory. So there is something about, you know, the science that reduces the complexity of health to something technical that we can administer. But when we believe that scientists have the truth, we think that more of that science will be better, and then the planet says, no, 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 it's more complicated than that. So that is why we're now reflecting, wait a minute, research and innovation has to reflect, has to be responsive and responsible, not just say, in our laboratory, we find the truth, and then society must implement it, or what is it called, bring it to market, The more we sell of our patent, the better it will be. That is the basis of RRI. Oops, we did something that we did not foresee, that was not anticipated. We had some blind spots in our research and innovation system. We have to reflect, and we have to take into account, you understand now why we needed a diversity of people around every table. That is how you make your system now. Somebody say, I know about the human body, I know about economics, I know about oceans, and together you can start building this map. And so what we see, and I'm not going to explain the entire map, you could use, it's like what is the, you call it the table of Mendeleev for chemistry. This is the table of Mendeleev for thinking in the Anthropocene. We have the solar energy that creates matter on the planet. We have the population size, that we use the resources that the planet can produce. And then it goes through cycles of how humans use, how we define nature. We can control nature, we will control nature. And then nature says, no, I'll make a mutation that you haven't foreseen. I'll send you, the way we organize ourselves, we have defined the good life, no more illness. Then we will build, more of this medicine will be more, it will make you money, and the money will make you better. And, look at the well-being of a country, measure its gross national product. And we call that, well-being or, prosperity. So we have it all mingled up, but it is non-linear. It goes well for a while, and then all of a sudden something new emerges. And that is what we call co-creations. Humans with their narratives and their dreams and their beliefs and their culture, and also their systems, their technological economic systems, have an effect not on the planet, but also on our own health. On all the bio. It's all processes. It's all intermingled. It's not like here's human and there's nature. No, if there's no water, there isn't humans. It's all it's all interlinked. It's all processes. But we tend to think of things. He's a sick person. Here's a pill, and that's it. So congratulations, because you came up with fantastic systems thinking. You are systems thinkers. If you work together with a diversity of perspectives and start looking at the culture. So this is now the question. I would like you to reflect on why. So we already did that a little bit. Why did science not see this coming? I mean, we have such fantastic modern universities, such smart people. Why did they not see it coming? Yeah, go ahead.
I think they do see it. They don't want to see it because it's all about profit and money. It depends whose interest are you, protecting. And also it's all about values. So I think really smart people, they can see that, and scientists are smart people. But the question is, whose interests are they protecting? How much money do they earn?
Okay. So we're again into the scientists or also people with economic interests.
But I would say that it's their fault, because also people, it's like normal people, it's their fault that they're not opening their heads and informing themselves more.
Okay.
So it's co-creation and a shared responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility. That's like shared, co-created. You're so smart. I mean, what am I still doing here? So what we see, if we think like how is it, and we're talking now about AMR, antibiotics resistance. We could also talk about climate change. We got all these fantastic inventions based on fossil fuels, and we thought like, wow, look how successful we are. Look what we can do. We can have airplanes in the sky. And are we really so successful? I mean, what are we doing? So this is, where does that come from? How come scientists are still, well, I'm an engineer, and I can prove that electric cars are sustainable. because I will just measure the CO2 emitted while they drive, but I can't take into account how it will affect human health or social justice, because then it's too complicated for science. Why is that? Because science, the academic system that we know now today, was established in the 17th century. And I know there's many philosophers in the room, so you will probably connect to that. In the 17th centuries, we had Newton and Descartes, and those were the people who discovered that there are regularities in nature. And if you understand the regularities in nature, it allows you to control things in nature. You can develop machinery and technology based on that. And that was so fantastic that it became like the standard of, wow, this is science. So this, Newton, he was saying like, nature works like a machine. We can take it apart, twitch the parts, and put it back together again. Humans are in control, and then the machine will be improved. Look what we're doing with DNA. We take it apart, we twitch the DNA, and we try to put it back together, and then we think we're in control. Okay? And Descartes, he was one of, I think, therefore I am. I am not part of the physical world, my body may be, but me as a rational being, I am separate from nature. And so we have the lower beings, and then we have the more exalted. Plants are a little bit better than animals. On top of that, we are created in God's image. God is not the sacred mountain or the sacred tree. It's this transcendent being that is not involved in the world. And humans were created in His image. And God gave us nature as a resource to use. That's where the narrative, the belief systems. We believe that we can control nature, that nature is something for us to own and to control and to manipulate for our well-being. And we've tried that for 200 years. We built the university in such a way. Natural sciences, economic sciences, human sciences, it's all different faculties. We're not even talking to each other. So we can't oversee the systemic map and how it all interrelates. We don't see that. I just see my one parameter. And it's true, the order is there. There is order. Thank God, because otherwise you would not be able to sit on a chair and we would not be able to have this screen. The order and the mechanics are there, but if you zoom out at the global system of how evolution on the life on this planet has evolved, the mechanics part is only just a tiny little sub-part of it. And the dynamics of life, the evolution of life, is much more irregular. We've had 5 mass extinctions from So if we are now, all the big challenges that humans have created today, we're in the Anthropocene, we are changing the climate, we are creating MR, we are killing biodiversity. So it's humans now who have to think like that. Wait a minute, as scientists, we cannot afford anymore to not look at the bigger picture. So that is why to respond to these challenges also means to reflect on science. What can science still be, a person who's in the ivory tower, disconnected from reality? Where reality is the object of my study, and I am here as a subject, and I will find the truth. And then society will have to apply my truth. And when they apply my truth, everything will be under control. And we now discovered that it's just not like that. It's more complicated than that because there's also economic interests, and there's also the planet that reacts, and there's values that evolve. So this is the mother university will not be an ivory tower, but it will be a place where we sit together and analyze the system map and reflect on where do we want to go. That's why we changed the order of the tables here and we put the flowers in there. They have a place. So I think what we see is this is a helpful analytic tool. You have different kinds of problems. Like a simple problem is I can't open my door. I go to a local key person, and he can help me to make something to open the door. I don't know the way to the station. I ask somebody to find the local solution. The complicated one it's a little bit, it's like putting a man on the moon. It's very complicated. It's not just a local solution. You have to really put a lot of, putting a lot of technical, but there is a correct solution. You put the man on the moon or you miss the moon. There is a technical but very complicated problem. But what we're facing today, and that is where you need, developing an antibiotics. It's really complicated. You can do it. There's a technical solution and you can prove that it's 95% accurate, blah, blah, blah. But then when we zoom out, we come to the complex problems, which is where the solution of today may become the problem of tomorrow. The antibiotics were good. I mean, fossil fuel industries brought a lot of fantastic things, but then they become a problem, and that's where it's non-linear, it's complicated. And then the next one is the chaotic one, and that is like a pandemic, or a forest fire, or a volcano, And that is still difficult. Many people say like, oh, the pandemic was a complex problem. No, a pandemic is a chaotic problem. The only thing that matters is restore order. In a military fashion, wear your mask, stay at home, because otherwise we're going to die massively. But of course, that is not the model that we want for our society, to be in chaos after chaos after chaos, and have the politicians saying us, lock down, stay in your mouth, you can't go to your things. That is not the kind of society we want. So therefore, it's very important that we learn to deal with complexity and understand that our complicated technical solutions, if you zoom out and include the planet, it's not so linear as we thought it was. And scientists, they have part of it. They have part of the solution. But maybe the local farmers or the local, the local people, like, why is it so difficult for me to, why can I not build rooms and have a community that takes care of me and let my body rebuild its health and strengthen it? Why do we not have that? I mean, as a community, we can decide that this is the kind of solution that we want, and not just run to the doctor saying, give me more things, give me the technical solution. Because now we know that it is all coming together, and we have to really be careful that we avoid falling into the and this is not like different domain, it's like the Russian dolls. I mean, there is some simple parts of it, and there's some technical correct elements in it, but if you zoom out, you see that this is just a part of the puzzle, and that it interconnects with or interferes with other parts of the puzzle, which in itself may be important, and science can say this is the DNA, and this is technology, and this is linguistics, and all that, and legal practices. But together, they are interlinked in very complex ways. So it's always a question of scale, and I think I think what we learned from the like all the big challenges that we see today is that we understand that science has been very long into this technical, we can control things, mechanistic, and realities and even people in poverty, they are the object of my study, and I will understand how they think, and then I can find a solution for them, and society will provide solutions. And now we're starting to learn that people react to that, and doctors react to that, and bankers react to that, and it all starts to interfere in ways that were not foreseen in the laboratory. So being reflective and responsible means that we start from there. What is the complexity? And only then do we zoom out and say, like, what is the specific pieces of the puzzle that this specialist can contribute? There's some legal aspects. We need a lawyer. There's some financial aspects. We need somebody who knows finance. There's some biophysical aspect. There's some cultural aspect. So then, it's not like you start from your discipline and then you think that you can say something about the world. You first try to understand the world, and then you say, oh, but wait, I, as a citizen, as a concerned mother, I can contribute that. Or I, as a creative person, as a designer, I can bring this piece. And we bring the pieces together to co-evolve, co-evolve in the direction that we want. And the direction that we want is like, we want sustainable development. We want the future for my nephew. We want help for everybody. We want, everybody to be included, etc. So, as we have 20 minutes left, and I would really like also for you to have to come on. what is the core of RRI? The reason why I find this so important is that I think RRI as a concept was introduced in the European Commission like about 10 years ago. It was for like science with and for society. You know, there's signals in society that scientists must not be in their ivory tower, but you know, there's really societal needs, and we want science to reconnect with society. So we do science with, and first it was for society, and then it was, you know, science with and for society. We're already starting to move up and understand that, oh my God, it's not just, you know, we find the truth for them, but with them. We're going to have to reconstruct how we can move forward. And scientists have a role to play, but societal actors also. And then today it's called RRI. But what we see very quickly is, you know, what is RRI? We have 6 parameters. You know, gender is one of them, and you know, governance. And so you say like, I'm doing nanotechnology, and now next I will do responsible nanotechnology. Like, wait a minute. Are you still in the ivory tower and then just adding some flags of responsibility, or are you now out of the ivory tower and being responsive? So that is why I really wanted to take this morning. Once you've understood that, you can be asking the question: is this really RRI, or is it some kind of greenwashing? You know, there's still a traditional scientist that sort of like says, "Oh my God, I have explained it to the citizens, and I have asked their opinion about what I do, and I've counted the women around the table, and so I'm good with gender." Or is it really we're co-creating something in the complexity for the common good? Because we have to address the future of human race. The common good is the ultimate balance. So maybe, you know, I would like you to sort of like, what do you think are like the core elements of RRI? What for you is, you know, this is really RRI? Or questions, in fact, I don't understand it. Why is it different from where? Are you against science? You know, just, is it clear or is it new? Like, wow, I see it differently now. Okay, can you speak up and speak to me?
Yeah, well, I kind of see it now.
Can you speak? I'll stand here so you can address
yeah,
me.
okay. Should I stand up?
Yeah, sure, that's good.
Okay, I somehow see it differently right now because of the map you showed, actually, because when we were talking about how complicated of an issue misuse of active arts is, we all mentioned different parts of this like more precise map, let's say. So whenever I'm thinking about responsible research, that's what I'm going to think about. It's what impact would that have? How should we communicate it to people? How are people going to respond to that? Are there any groups that are going to be against that, or are going to exacerbate this, or you know, the whole chain of events that's going to follow up after a scientific breakthrough or any kind of discovery?
Okay.
Yeah.
And also what you said.
Can you take a few miles?
Yeah. Sorry. And also what Marisa said has to do a lot with changing the way we think instead of focusing only on our field, on our personal field. Maybe the main focus is our focus, it's what we control, but it's okay, and it's more than an advance for research to say we are going to focus on only this aspect, but we have to be aware that there are other kind of influence in that, and there are other actors that may, well, I know about communication, so I'm going to focus on that, but I have to be aware of the economical part, even if it's only kind of in a summary aspect, but we have to take that into account. So I think it has to do a lot of what you said about knowing all the agents involved.
Okay. Other reactions or reflections or insights, or can you learn? Where would you situate science in that map? Where is science?
In the center.
Why?
Should influence like
well, influence, not octopus influencing.
no, like with many
Yeah, I think what we have now is we have the natural sciences are there and they know nothing about the rest. The human sciences are there, humanities are there, and they don't know nothing about
In order to mediate.
And I think RRI is in the middle. So, and here we have, you know, the social sciences and the technologies, the applied sciences, they are there. And they think like, we can prove that if you do this, you will have economic growth, therefore we must do it. And all the politicians who say, oh, it's scientifically proven, we must do it. We must exploit the planet even further, or apply new technology. And they don't know nothing about the planet, and the planet, you know, and then there's the Earth survival. Wait a minute, stop it. There is no more lithium to do what you... So we don't connect, and RRI is really that, and it's not just, I mean, that is, I think, scientists are specialists, and it's good that we have that. It is good that we know how to build a good chair, technically speaking, or how nature, you know, how the acidity of the oceans is influenced. It's good that we know that, because we're not just stumbling blindly into rebuilding the world. It's good that we have scientists. But scientists do not decide what the world must be like, or what the world will be like. That is something all of humanity decides. And for now, it has been decided by a very small, select elite that has said economic growth is the standard for human development. Wait a minute, we now know it's not true. Let's include everybody's voice, everybody's perspective, and decide together what kind of world do we want? What kind of society do we want? That is the ethical question. What is the good for humanity? Ethical question is the number one question. Where do you see ethics in this? Oh, it will probably, you know, somewhere here. It's a specialist, and it's about Plato and Kant and all these difficult texts. So we have students who do artificial intelligence, and they learn about ethics, and they go, that's nothing to do with my field of science. But I'll quickly do the exam. I don't see the relevance for it, but then I get my diploma and I can do artificial intelligence. Wait a minute, what kind of world do we want? Do we want a world where machines control our privacy? That is the first question. That is the ethical question. So let's bring it all together here. What kind of society do we want? What kind of roles do we see for machines in our society? And once you've agreed on that, then your technology can say, oh, now I know what I can do to be responsive and to have society, to contribute to the wishes of society. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I was thinking, all this complexity, okay, let's go a little back. Okay. Science, as we were thinking before, as a
the 17th century model of science, yes.
And still that come up with contemporary complotist ideas on how the world works. That is pretty close to this model. And they say it is difficult to communicate this new model to the society in the correct way. If the previous one was kind of correctness, okay, because everything is so clear that you can think that science is always right.
Yeah, and
this
science,
model is exactly the opposite. So
but look at the architecture of, you know, most science, you know, higher education, it will be like a cinema room. Experts standing in front and transferring the knowledge to the younger generation. You shut up, you listen, and you say. So you get into this linear, you know, you just reproduce what we've always done. Where's the creativity? Where's the design? Where's the co-evolution? Oh no, you know, this is the ivory tower. I am on top, I know the truth, and I convey the truth to society. And that's the biggest trap, that we think that truth is something set apart, like God knows the truth. We're close to God, so we can discover the truth from the high level of our ivory tower, and then the normal people, they should listen to our truth. Maybe it's also the other way around. Maybe we should also listen to the normal truth of those people and then say, how can I, as a scientist, support that, foster that, advance that? You know, we're always still in this hierarchical relationship between science and society. And science is just a way of understanding society in a more structured way. And maybe there's like this, I did research, as Lisa said this morning, with women in poverty. I'm just going to tell this little story just as an illustration, because stories sometimes make it more understandable than these abstract things. It was working for the Brussels region. It's like the Madrid region, you know, the Brussels capital region. They have a lot of migrants and single-parent families from African background, Latin American background, Asian background. And so they have all the social, they know that these families are at a high risk of poverty and marginalized, and that's, you know, if the families are marginalized, then the kids will have, you know, different school careers. So the ministers said, like, have all these social services, but these single-parent families, well, mostly mothers, you know, they don't come to my services. I can't help them with their problems. So how can I want a research team to investigate how can I improve my services so that I can also help these families. So we as an NGO, we submitted a proposal. We would like to investigate your question. And the universities also, we would like to investigate the question. We will go to the women and try to understand. Do you understand the language? Are you informed? Blah, blah, blah. We turned it around and we went to the women and we said, don't you have a problem? And the minister would like to understand how he can help you. We said, the minister has a problem. Could you please help us to solve the problem of the minister? And it took them a while to trust us. You know, we're stepping out of the hierarchy. The hierarchy is part of the problem. You're marginalized, I will help you to be unmarginalized. But you know, I will find your solution. Wait a minute, that's again marginalized. It's again, you know, I am in control of, you know. So we turned it around and said, like, the minister has a problem, could you please help us to solve it? And of course, they come from different languages, so we did not do questionnaires, because we say, village, for example, we think of something here, well structured with a church in the middle, but an African woman may think of, yeah, we say, yeah, village, but she thinks of something totally different. We don't know. So language is a difficult one. So we used a lot of visual, you know, expression. I think all the design things around here with different clay or different pictures and made pictures. And so we asked them, like, what would be your ideal village? You know, how would you feel happy? Because the concern was that they were having problems or experience. What would you, and they would bring us like a baobab tree or a water well. And so we're like, that is interesting. We're learning from it. We don't know what happens under a baobab tree. Why is that important? We also said, like, very interesting. Tell us what happens under the baobab tree. Why is the baobab tree what you dream of? And they said, like, well, this is the place where we sit together and help each other or discuss common problems. Or, oh, yeah, it's interesting. Not a psychiatrist sitting in a, you go to the baobab. And so they said, like, yeah, in our culture, if you have a problem, the solution is to have a community around you, the clan, the family, to bear that problem. It's not you who are the problem. You're the patient. You're the client. In our culture, our individualistic culture, we have the individual. You have the right to a psychiatrist. You have the right to an advocate. And they say, like, but we don't want that. It's singling us out as if we are the problem. What we want is to connect to the community. So what they did, you know, so like they bring their children to the creche, and there's an African woman lady leading the creche. She knows that. She comes from the same culture. So she said, every Wednesday morning, we will organize a coffee for all the moms. And we'll take the kids and we'll get some money from Princess Matilda to get the, you know, to get the coffee. And so the woman said, oh, that lady has the same problem as I have. So it's not my fault. It's not me. You know, and so together they say, oh yeah, you have, I recognize that, oh, it's a shared problem, it's a systemic problem, it's a structural problem. It's because in Belgium, blah, blah, blah. So they co-created help. Of course, if the employment service would have known, they would say, you are not available for the labor market because you're spending time looking after each other's children, I will punish you. So we asked them, we can't bring, you know, said, the minister wants a report from us. We cannot bring him a baobab tree. We have to write a report. So please help us, the researchers, to put words on it. Did we say that the baobab tree stands for mutual aid? No, what's about it? And then that's interesting. If you put words on it, it also helps us to sort of like, so it was really a co-creation of knowledge. They gave us a thick experience that we didn't know of because we're Westerners and we think how this is an individual right. And they gave us this other worldview, and we gave them language, and we co-created, you know, new language that would never, you know, if I had been in the classical university, I would have made my analysis and asked them to validate it, and they would have said, yeah, 25%, 30%, whatever. Yes, no, is that what you want to hear? Okay. But we would never have discovered this new analysis of people. So we went to the minister after, the research was over, and we said, like, the solution of your problem is in the city. Only, the mutual help among the families. The only problem is that you don't see it. You don't support it, or you even punish it. And this man was like, wow. So he stayed all day. And the next year, they said from now on, all the research in the Brussels capital region, in Louise, we will only fund research if it is co-created. So RRI became the condition. And it's not that, we were telling the families. The families were telling us. So that is where, we're really co-creating a reality. But us, as scientists, we can help them to put words on it and to translate it into policy briefs. So, there is a co-expertise that is both important. And so that is a story that I think helps you, that the RRI, the co-RRI is happening here. It's society that learns. It's society that experiments. It's society that tests a hypothesis. What if we do it in social service? Doesn't work. Let's try something else. But we're all part of that learning, of that societal evolution. We're all part of that. And the most excluded voices are often the ones that we can learn most from, the blind spots. And then with that, you can say, oh, but, me as a psychologist, I'm very good at reading that lady's body language, so I can, that would be my contribution to this story. Or I understand African languages, and so I can help you to not misinterpret what they say, or whatever it is, a money system. And so that is the difference between classical RRI. I'm here, I'm a specialist in that, I know nothing about the rest. The first step is, what kind of society do we want? Where do we create forums where this happens? Most of the time we want out of the university, because if you bring the citizens into the university, what happens? What happens? They think that you're, even the chairs are there and the speaker is here, and they're like, So we go to their places. You are the experts here. Here you have co-created your baobab. We come to learn from you. So we want this to happen in museums, in people's gardens, in places where we can meet together without this hierarchy. Creative places, in a museum, or that is the place where you can do RRI. And then once you've understood the complexity of the map and said, like, oh, my contribution could be, that. Where does this come from, and how did we in history always talk about progress and development, and maybe we're blind to how we colonized other worlds. So you can have your own expertise, but the first, and then you go back to your lab and then you bring it back and you go back. Okay, this is what we found. This will help. So this is, I think, wow, staying in the time frame. So this is, I think, the core message of RRI. It is complexity-based. Number one. It is oriented towards the common good. We want to save the planet and humanity to be thriving on it, including everybody. It's the common good. It's not my profit or the company's profit or the prestige of the university or the professor or the whatever. It's the common good. So, complexity-based, common good, and co-created. And co-created is not some marginal aspect afterwards. It is the core. If you don't co-create it, it's not going to be RRI. And the more diversity in your co-creation, the more accurate or the more relevant or whatever, common good oriented and complexity based your science will be. So that would be like, the ethics first is, ethics is not something afterwards, like, I'm an artificial intelligence, but I also need to say something about Kant and, all these difficult terminology. No. What kind of society do I want? If I do artificial intelligence, what kind of society do I? Is that the society that we want? First question, the ethical one. And the second one, what is reality like? Is it a mechanistic thing? Is it a machine that I can take apart and then put to bed? No. Wow. Reality is more complex than that. And the third one, if I want to know what is, what to do as a scientist, how to contribute as a scientist, I must co-create it. So the three co's. If I do an exam tonight, it will be what are the three co's of RRI? And I think once you've understood how they're interconnected, because we want to survive on the planet, we want to change the planet, we have to understand that the planet is not linear, it's not mechanistic, it's complex. And we as humans have a very big responsibility in joining that dynamics of life and supporting the dynamics of life and not extracting them. So that is also the ethics. And to know how to get there, we need to involve everybody, including listening. There was just one last anecdote. There was a friend of mine who's doing this kind of thing. And last year we had huge floods in our country. You know, the water bombs washed away half the village. So they brought together people from that whole area, entrepreneurs, political leaders, scientists, citizens, to say like, okay, how can we rebuild this area? You know, how can we reconstruct it? It was more focused on entrepreneurship and on the side, but of course you need science. Where are you going to build the bridge? What, you know, how do you make a quick, you know, stuff like that. And there was one lady, she was a politician, and she said like, wait a minute. Before we start coming up with our solutions, you know, bridge here and roads there, maybe we should first try to listen to the river. What was the river trying to tell us? And that was like, whoa, why did the river wash away the houses? What were the blind spots? So they first did that. Oh, we have too much hard surfaces. The water can't get away. So listening to the river was their first starting point, you know, talking about diversity. But then it helps if you have like, you know, people who know a little bit about nature around the table. So like, this is how nature functions, you know, if you harden everything. So that was another example of how they then co-created, like, oh, but, you know, listen to the river. How can we respect the river? How can we make sure that the river can expand again and be part of the community rather than a threat that we must control? It's okay. Any last remarks? Exhausted? Happy?
Inspired.
Okay, so in the afternoon, this is the why. You know, this is the context in which we do RRI, and I hope you understand. It's the ontology, it's the ethics, it's the epistemology. And in the afternoons, we're going to land a bit and say like, how we do it concretely. You know, what steps do we take to do that? Okay. So if you have, I also hope that the last half hour we can keep for an open discussion. So if you have things that you really disagree with, or that you're really puzzled about, or that you would like to add, or please keep note, and then in the last half hour, I hope we can, you know, start that discussion. I congratulate you. You were fantastic. I'm really amazed. So see you later.